every day you have been interacting with number of URLs. How the URLs look like for you? HTTP, either HTTP or HTTPS. Then domain name, you are going to see some domain name like facebook.com. But the behind that, what we are going to have usually localhost 8081. I can say any port. You can choose any port. So one is host, then colon, then port. You should remember the syntax. We can't do anything without remembering this syntax. It will be your everyday job. Okay. And base path. So base path, let me take as first we are going to develop EMP SAPI. Okay. So I will take the base path as project name, and subpath I can take add employee for now. Okay. So I told you how many ways we can pass the input. Okay, and before that I also discussed about each and every REST service should works with any one of the method. I wanted to take the method of this API or REST service as post. Okay, and what it will contain? It will contain the request. So request we can send either in the headers or in the body. I will tell you when to pass in the headers and when to pass in the body, and how to pass I will show you. Okay, so coming to this, I would like to pass a JSON payload. Okay, so that look like ID some 100 and name. So I have shown you how a JSON object look like in the yesterday session. Okay, this always look like this. If you would like to write single object, we should write like this always. It won't be changed. Let me take as FSD and status as active, is an active employee for now. Okay, and suppose if you would like to write or send multiple JSON objects, do you remember we have taken one example that a diagnostic center can develop a REST service on top of their database, and they can expose that data to hospitals. Assume in each and every request, if they send only one patient object, does that make sense? No, right? It should send at least collection of records. So to write collection of records, the object, the JSON payload look like this. You should put in the array, nothing but under the square brackets, and you can have comma separation here, and you can keep any number of objects here. Okay, so for now we are not going to discuss these, but we will see about these two in coming sections. And for this response, for suppose the request can be either through headers or I can say end through body, nothing but request headers and request body. Okay, now coming to the response. So as we are sending the data in the request and posting something, and we should get some response from the REST service too, right? For suppose if you are hitting a URL, okay, for suppose you are registering for any point platform. Once you register, it should show at least response back or log into the page saying that your registration completed. If you don't get that message back, you don't know whether you get registered or not, right? So in similar way, whenever you develop a REST service, the way we get the input, in similar way we should respond back the data in the always headers and body. Okay, so coming to these responses, in the headers I told you what it is going to be responded. So all the times the responses are standard. The REST APIs, the REST world has supplied some of the standard codes, status codes, I can say. Okay, for suppose for success, it is always been 200. I can say 2xx series. For something not found, it's always 4xx series. For suppose something went wrong, it's always 5xx series. So let me tell you, for suppose you have sent a request, that means 200 success, it went success 200, and the message will be okay for always 200. For suppose for 400, or I can say 404, it's always not found. These are the standards we should remember. So go to the table, check the table, what are the standard codes we have, and what are the standard messages being responded in the headers. In similar way, 500 internal server error. So and extra. So this way we respond back in the headers. For now, I am going to take only 200. Okay, should come in the headers. Coming to the response. So here we are sending the request only through body, and header should be this, and body it should respond back like this. As we are sending a JSON payload as an object, it should respond back to us status 200 and message, I can say as this is up to us. This is completely based on your requirement. Your requirement tells if you are developing a REST service, they will tell you what the service should respond back. As per our requirement, we have to do this for our service. Okay. So first we are going to work with how to read JSON object in the Mule flow. Okay, we develop a REST service and we send this request. It should be right, because if you are sending some data and you are responsible to read each and every field from the JSON payload. Am I right? Yes, because if you're able to read, then only you can able to insert into the database, right? Then that I can say, for suppose you are hospital, this is hospital application, I can say add patient here. Okay, now I have diagnostic center, I can consume this service, I can send patient information. So what you will do at your side, you will read ID, you will read name, and you will read status. You will insert into the database. I hope everybody know already database, how to write database queries. So for insert, it will be insert into table, table name and names. There we have to mention column names and values. Okay, we are going to develop this service, and before going to this, let me explain about how the URA params look like, how the query params look like. Okay, so the second service, as part of our use case, I am going to take one more service. This is first use case, and we are going to develop one more REST service, that is same. I can take the same, but that is going to be update employee. Okay, so let's just make change the sub URL as update employee, and for this under body I would like to send XML payload, so that you will get to know how to read the XML payload in the backend. Why I am discussing about JSON and XML both? Because 99% of the times in real time you are going to get either XML or JSON data. If you know how to read the fields from JSON payload, and from the XML payload that will be enough. You can play with the REST services, right? So the XML payload looks like this: EAMP, ID, name, status. I would like to update inactive. When the employee resigned, I just wanted to update status back to inactive. So this will do the update for our operation for us. And number third, so I don't know whether I discussed or not. I will discuss again. In usually in body, we can send either as a JSON payload or XML payload. Okay. And coming to the headers. So I told you, right, here I am keeping the request should go in the body. Okay. And what about response here? Let me put the response to, then we will discuss about header parameters. Coming to the response, as we are sending the XML payload, it should also respond back as the XML payload, because if it is if you are getting input as XML payload and if you are responding back as JSON payload, that doesn't make sense. So similar thing here we can have as status 200 status. If you don't know about JSON object XML, you just remember the syntax, that's all. So it will be always like this, but here you are going to get more extra fields, that's all. It also looks like always this, it's going to be more fields, but sometimes we may have nested objects. So it will be really great if you have a look into JSON objects and XML objects. I hope you are already familiar with this in your like in your education level. And response, not response, message, some success. It's done. And next, response. Okay, so if we develop these two REST services, we will get to know how to deal with JSON objects and how to deal with XML objects. Coming to the third, so I told you we just saw how to pass the input through only body so far. Okay, now we are going to see how to pass through headers. Okay, so in headers we can pass the, let me write something here. So through body we can send data as what, JSON and XML. The both look like this. And why I'm repeating again and again, if you are new to JSON and XML, you can understand, that is my intention. And coming to XML, it looks like this. Okay, so one is JSON, one is XML. And coming to headers, how we pass the data through headers. One way is URI params, nothing but parameters, and one more is query params, nothing but query parameters. And also we can pass the data in the headers too. We have header section also. Okay, this way we usually pass the request, and here we pass URI and query parameters. How URI parameters look like? For the same URL, you just need to put slash and you have to send the data, whatever you want. For suppose ID, I would like to send the ID as a path parameter, and also name. I can send the name as a path parameter. But coming to the query parameters, always See here it is only value section enclosed within your URL. Now coming to the query parameters, always it will be key equal to value pairs. I can say ID equal to, give me a moment. Yeah, sorry. Somebody is saying something.
Hi, Varun. Can you repeat what is the 100 and what is FSD in the URI param?
No worries. I am going to give you the real-time URL. Okay. Uh,
Okay.
yeah. Now query parameters. I can take key equal to value pairs ID as 100, and always remember the first only value differentiate with the question mark from the URL, and always we should keep the end symbol for upcoming query parameters. For suppose I would like to pass the name, and I should do with a name and like and operator, and I can give name. For suppose I would like to pass status also, so I can keep and status. I'm just saying the difference between how it look like the URI parameter and the query parameter. I can say I, and here you can see FSD, and if you want like to pass the status too. So here you are only keeping the values with slash separation. That whenever you have a parameter in the URL with slash separation, that is called URI param. When you have with the question mark and ampersand symbols and the key equal to value pairs, then these are called as query parameters. Okay, so headers for now leave it. I will show you when we are going for execution. This is not that much important for now. And going back, so the next service, I hope everybody good up to here. Okay, and
Varun,
now mhm.
just a doubt. Like as we are pausing as a body, like JSON body or XML body as a request for the REST service. So in that case, we are expecting as a body as a response, or any header also is fine.
Both. See, that will be completely on your requirement. This would be both. Either it would be headers are mandatory. Always in the response, headers should be included. Coming to the
Okay.
body, that will up to your requirement.
So how can we
So
manage it, and how can we do that?
I will show you development.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Yeah. And coming to okay, coming to next. So like usually, whenever we would like to post something, whenever you would like to post, for suppose what I am doing here, I am posting the employee object. Here also I am posting the employee object. So always we should go for post. Now I would like to get the employee, because like I have exposed this service to system A, they are calling, and I am getting the data into database. Now I would like to send the data to system B. Okay, so what I should do now, I should do the fetch operation. To post something, always we should work with post, and to get something, always we should work with get. So if it is post, nothing but always you will have the body. If it is get, always you will have, let me take this, and I would like to do the operation for fetch employee. Now I would like to pass the ID here. Let me keep the value directly. I would like to pass the 100, which is what, that is what, this is a URI parameter. For suppose in similar way, if you would like to pass one more URI parameter, you can have the value. Okay, so for now we are going to deal with, okay, we are going to deal with only one parameter, but while implementation I will show you. So this way we pass input. So this is one way, and in similar way this is one way. So what we will do in the backend, based on this ID, we will fetch the employee data and we will respond back. So now we are going to send data in the headers as what? URI param. And we are going to get response like this. As we wanted to fetch the employee where the employee ID is 100. So response in the headers should be again 200, okay, and in the body it should come as, don't worry, I will show you, it will be very easy, you need not to sweat out anything. So at the first time while you are listening, it looks like something new, but once you involve into practical, like if you do starting practice, you will definitely understand how much it easy is. Okay, so the object will be look like, for suppose if I'm sending 100, I would like to respond back the JSON object. So always we should respond back similarly. The response will look like this. So whenever I send 100, it will respond back the corresponding JSON object. In similar way, now I am going to develop one more service that is also get, but I would like to pass the query parameter now. How the query parameter look like from the URL? So it should be with question mark, and I would like to send ID equal to, one moment, I would look to send ID equal to some 100. And in similar way, if for suppose if I would like to send one more field, status equal to I. So this way we can pass multiple parameters. For suppose if you would like to pass one more path parameter, you can send as one more. Actually, what is the difference between actually when to go for URI parameter or path parameter? It can be called as either a URI parameter or path parameter. So when to go for path parameter or URI parameter, when to go for query parameters. Okay, if you see, you have slash here, you have slash here, you have slash here. That means your URL, nothing but your URI parameter is defining the URL. Okay, for suppose if I am not passing this value, it will say the URL doesn't exist because it is also part of URL. You should always send this. That means always URI parameters. If you're taking URI parameter means the parameter is mandatory to send. But coming to the query parameters, your URL is valid up to here itself. Okay. If you not send any query parameter is also, this URL will be hitted. But I can say these are optional parameters. So in your requirement, if your parameter is mandatory, go for URI parameter. If your parameter is non-mandatory, go for query parameter. Only that is the difference. But both are same. But here we do not have key. Here we can have key equal to value pairs. That is one more difference. And the header is what I'm sending. I'm sending query parameter. And coming to the response, I just wanted to do the same update operation for this ID by using this status. That's all. Again, update operation. So once we do the update operation, are we fetching something? No, right? So I can take it as a post because I'm not fetching something. I'm doing the post operation. So you have to decide which method will be suitable for that. Body, under body, I would like to respond back. This is response, but request we are sending in the headers. And coming to the response, the header will be same 200. Okay, and coming to the body, it will be status 200 and message success. So we are done with use case. What we are going to develop is, we are going to develop 4 services. Okay, one is to deal with JSON object, one is to deal with XML object, one is to deal with URI params, one is to deal with query params. Okay, let's get started. So before going to the development, anybody has any questions about the use case? Assume this is your requirement. So your requirement you are going to get like this. How the URL is going to be look like, what is the expected JSON, and what is the expected response. They will give the all the details. You are the developer, has to do the development, but here your understanding is important. So why I am taking this example? Because if you want to read the JSON payload in the backend, how to read it? If you would like to getting XML payload, because we should read each and every field value from the request, right? Then only we can work with the data. Otherwise, we can't able to work with this. Any questions before starting the development?
Yeah, Varun, quick
Varun,
question regarding. Sorry, go ahead, please.
no, it's okay, Karthik, go ahead.
Yeah, so quick question regarding the format of the URL parameters and the query parameters. So if it's a URL parameter, would it be like always like hyphen and just like an
Value.
alphanumeric value?
Yeah, it could be any value. It could be alphanumeric or alphabet, anything. It could be any
Okay.
value. But it's
And if it's a
always should be
query,
separate.
it would be always starting with a question mark.
Yes, it start with the question mark, and if you wanted to keep one value with question mark is fine. Or suppose if you would like to keep few more values, you should use the and
Okay.
symbol.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So Karthik, do one thing. So every day I hope you have been interacting with a number of services, right? Like in the
Yeah.
Chrome. So try
Yes.
to observe the URLs. So
Yes,
if you
I'll
are
do that.
sending some data, if you are posting some data while registering, internally what your front-end scripting language will do, like jQuery or AngularJS, any scripting language, it will take your all form fields and it will convert that into JSON payload and it will send to the REST service in the backend.
Right.
So that's way in real time it works. Okay.
Okay.
So for suppose if you would like to fetch some data based on ID, so usually it can be either a URI parameter or it can be a query parameter. Okay, good.
Okay.